Hello, welcome. Welcome to a tradition on this channel, a spontaneous forecast with no scheduling, no planning, no expectations. When you surprise, no one can have expectations. So you throw them off. It's like a wind that blows through. It's like, that is the trick. That's the deal. I mean, if you want to know one of my secrets on this channel, if you haven't figured it out, is like to throw you off, which in turn, if it's done consistently, keeps you in the flow, or at least my flow, my channel, my randomness, my spontaneity, my mercurial poison, my mercurial sweet concoction for you. Let me feed your mind and talk about the forecast for this week. I'll look at the chat. I do this. I will falter. I will fall on my face. I will spring back. I will somehow catch a piece of knowledge in the wind, and somehow, I don't know how it happens, it will actually come through me and out and be transmitted into the universe. Is there anybody out there? It doesn't matter, because in a sense, when I do this, I'm having my own surprises. I surprise myself. I mean, I got to do this. And by living that kind of life and doing a channel like this, I know something that's 100% and consistent and steady about me. I know something. There is no one like this guy. There is no one like sparkles of gold. You know what I'm saying? So I stand in that, and I will spontaneously live stream. Let's talk about the transits. I want to say hi to everybody who's dropping in. You could tell I'm hungry. Dropping in. So I will say hi to Joe G, who is the first person who jumped in here. What's up? Titi and X. Hi. Dext Bettina. Hello. The Shades. Hi, Andrea. What's up, my friend? Good to see you. KP1231. Welcome. James Sanders, a channel member who's got, if you look in the chat here on the screen right now, there's these winged face that I came up with at 3 a.m. on Canva. This little emoji thing over there. So when you become a channel member, you have that. Thanks, James. Good to see you here. GME's in here. And Isha, another channel member. I like the ASMR breathwork. Let's just co-regulate. We need this. Yeah, we co-regulate. Totally. Just one more. Saying that, my chat's being really funky right now, and I have to do this all over again. Oh, hey. Hey, now. Let's just start off the stream this way. I hope I don't have problems with my Angela with the super chat starting off my stream. Thank you. I'm going to hit that up. I'm going to reply to it, and I'm going to say, yo, thanks. Wait, I just lost that. Oh, yeah, there it is. Ray Faye is in here buzzing around in the chat. Hello. Thank you, Angela. Thank you for the super chat. For those who don't know, you could donate to my stream live. It's the magic of YouTube. You're on mobile, you got to find out little options there. You can hit it, and then other times it's the little money symbol that happens right here. I'll show you here. It's a little training ground. You could see a little money symbol here on the desktop chat. You press that and you could do stuff. And then, sorry, if there was a $1,000 donation I could do it. I would show up at your door, but I can't do that instantly, and I'll figure that out. I have to figure out how to do that. So saying that, thank you for the deal, for the thing. Hey, some of you might have caught my new moon in Taurus video that I made under the bridge. I did it there where water meets earth under the bridge. And the reason why I did this is because I feel that this new moon lunation, we're new moon right now. Basically, it happened earlier today at 12:31 here, 4 hours ago. I talked about the Venus and Saturn in this chart. I'll pull it up really quick. And how I feel actually that this week is a bridge that we're crossing that has to do with the last 4 months that we're ending. We're going to speed along into some astrological storylines that are somewhat the appearance new feeling, or the feeling of moving forward, actually, the feeling of something finally after processing a bunch of retrogrades. And Venus is still there, by the way, not retrograde, but still kind of, we're going to talk about Venus switching signs this week and going into Aries. Finally, for some of you who've been wanting this, I'm appreciating the moment that is happening right now on this screen, because basically here we see the new moon happen at 7 degrees, moon's at 10 degrees, 3 degrees there, but we see here that Venus is basically at 28. It's still in a conjunction with Saturn. It is the ruling part of the lunation today. It's in the other sense of this, in this Taurus part is in between Leo, Mars, and this Pluto here, which is this ongoing story. Is it a story of a Mars-Pluto opposition at 3 degrees that happened officially yesterday on a Saturday? It's still around. I like this place under the bridge, as I called it, because I think we're crossing over into storylines here. And we're about to go off on a path here that runs all the way basically into the end of summer in the Northern Hemisphere, end of winter there, when we get to the eclipse world again in in September. And there's going to be a series of things that happen where it feels like it's moving forward and the planets go retrograde. Whatever, we'll talk about that. But I feel that this particular Venus reality check, the third one here that it's had here with Saturn, is a crystallized vision finally. And Venus is coming out as morning star. It's about to move into Aries this week. And I think finally has the vision wrapped up. And it's interesting because there's one more step in that vision quest before the actions are taken. And we're going to talk about a particular day this week that has to do with this. So saying that, that's the new moon in Taurus. I want to wish all of you, let's do it right now. Let's see if I can do this spontaneously, and let's see if I can do this, okay? Now, I want you to pay attention. I want you to pay attention, first of all, to my face. Let's say you're listening to this right now and you have it on audio and you're like cooking up zucchini or something, chopping zucchini in the kitchen or something. Take a break and look at my face. So I'm going to go silent here, and I want you to look at my face. Now that is your vision in play, right? Right? Now, I'm going to make the screen black. And I want you to listen to my voice. And I want you to imagine yourself along a river creek. And this river creek is running under a bridge. And we're taking a break on our journey, knowing we're going to need a lot of energy and stamina once we cross the bridge. So here, next to the creek, with pleasant sun on us, with little snacks that we brought to replenish ourselves. We take in the sound of water. We feel the breeze. So that is your hearing senses in play. Now, here's an interesting way of doing the sense of touch here. So basically, I'm going to touch my face. So basically, you could touch your hand. I really want, or wherever you are right now, I want you to touch something. I want you to touch something. If it's a piece of fabric, a cloth, an apple, I just look around you. Not the phone, by the way. I don't touch the phone or the laptop. Touch something that's the closest thing to feeling that comes from an organic source, per se, okay? Which means me, I'm going to touch my face because, yeah, I haven't gone to Tijuana yet to get it plastic surgery or altered yet because it's really cheap down there, just in case you need to know that information. But I kind of like these crow's feet that I have over here. I'm never going to get rid of them. It's kind of charming. I even think so. You know, I come to terms with that. So anyway, I'm going to touch my face. Yeah. See? So where you're looking at me, we're hearing things, we're touching. What am I missing here? There's a little electrolyte that I put in here, and it smells like lemon. Yeah, smell. Is there anything around there you can smell around you that's just hopefully calm? Maybe you have some sort of spray, or there's a half-burned candle around you somewhere. Or, yeah, something. Right? Now, what am I missing here? What sense have I forgotten? If someone would help me in chat, well, if someone would assist this guy right here, if someone would throw their own sparkle at me in chat, as my delayed voice carries over the airways, and to see if you're actually paying attention to what I'm doing right now. What is that one sense that I'm missing here? What is it? In the meantime, why am I doing this? I think it's very important whenever we have a planet going into Taurus, we have a lunation today, like a new moon in Taurus, or 6 months from now, when we do a full moon in Taurus, that we have to recognize where Venus is at the moment, at the present time, and then access something like that, right? So we're accessing a Venus in Pisces here under the bridge. And that is the vibe I've had coming into this and to this day. And part of the reason why I wanted to start the live stream this way is to access this. Now, someone hasn't thrown the 5 senses question, the one I'm missing here, into the mix. So, you've seen me, you've heard me, right? We smelled something. And someone in chat is giving an example of this, right? And it is in tune with this channel. GME threw 3 taco emojis up on the screen here. Oh, how I wish right now I had a real live taco that I could taste here on screen. So, whether it's right now, you got a snack around you. Oh, I know what I could do. Hold up a second. Yeah. So, let's go for the full blackout here of 100% right here. That's how I'm rolling. That's definitely the Taurus new moon way of doing it. For those in the southern hemisphere, like Rafe here is in Australia, I hope you're having an egg sandwich done the way it is that I had down there. All right. Enough fun and games. Oh my gosh, that's intense. 100%. It's like taking a whiskey shot, but it's like 100%. You know the bitterness. But it's so good for you. I'm looking at chat right now. I see. Let's do a chat checkup before I really jump into this forecast because I'm just in the whatever, don't give a fuck mood today. Look at Violent at Content Boutique is here. Dale Dobson dropping off a $4.99 super chat on me with the most interesting moving thing here. Who comes up with this stuff at YouTube? I hope they're paying them well. This is the cool stuff. Kiska, thank you for being here, a channel member. Esmeralda's brought up a tangerine in their world. And Wake Me From This is talking about Sweet Tijuana Plastic Surgery, which they got tacos down there too. And who am I missing? Astro Stephanie's in here throwing purple hearts at me. And Lucy Fur made popcorn. Kate Johnson, hey, it's good to catch up. I'm glad you made it here for the impromptu chocolate thing. And no, JS Ballard, no wheat chocolates here. I got to be careful with that stuff. I'm a lightweight. Yeah, and if I did that and I did a stream, oh my God, that would be like the 2 a.m. stream. I think you get what I'm saying. Indulge your senses right now, at least today and tomorrow for this Taurus moon kind of thing, because then we just jump into rapidness. And let's get into the rapidness because it actually will be tomorrow. This interesting little thing is going to happen. Seems like nothing, but I think it's everything. And it has to do with the moon. Conjunction, it's monthly conjunction with Uranus. And I think this is interesting here because about what Uranus is going to be a player here in the next several months, because it will eventually get to 29 degrees and ingress into Gemini here on July 7th, if I'm correct. And it's going to move a little bit, but not too far before it retrogrades back. And it's going to come back to the later degrees of Taurus. And it isn't until next year that basically will be fully out of Taurus. So we're in these last degrees of Taurus. So anything that happens here in the future, Venus is going to hit these degrees, 26 to 29 degrees very, very soon. We pay attention to, and it's something here just because of the lunation that we've had here in new moon lunation. It's, you know, it's a long, there's a little bit of this involved. There's a little bit of surprise. There's a little bit of something here that the Taurus has now hopefully become proficient in their stubborn ass selves, fixed selves that they can have embraced change spontaneously and have used it to their resource creation advantages. But it can be so simple as us sitting under the bridge and Venus and Pisces here at 29 degrees. You know, in a sense, you see a building sextile, or not sextile, but the sextile just happened. But if we're going to do a Moon-Uranus conjunction, and Venus is the ruler of this, we might as well make it like the most perfect, wide-reaching spiritual concoction that comes through our senses and takes us to the high place. And that high place is what is always within you. We access that place through many different vessels. And I preach creativity on this channel. If you want to smoke a blunt and do the creativity, go right ahead. I'm going to preach creativity. And I think for now on a Sunday, no Monday here, before we really ramp up and for all the crazy shit that's happening in the world and a Mars-Pluto situation, we take respite, we take a break, an oasis break here in the next 24 hours. That's what I'm recommending to you all. And you do this. But the cool thing is, from a Taurus point of view, is that, hey, you know, I usually bring prosciutto to this picnic under the bridge. I'm going to throw everybody off. I want to bring something different. Or there's a new type of thing that's growing out of the ground, or some flowers that I picked that I've never even seen before, or a different color of a tulip or something. And I'm going to bring that with me. You know, I'm not so fixed in my ways of what gives me pleasure and what I want to share my pleasures and the fruits of my labor with people that I love and whatever. I'm going to do something new. Again, a little bit of something for you. We take the little bits of something on this channel. Okay. So saying that is what we're kind of brewing to tomorrow. But, you know, again, the moon's going to make a ton of aspects tomorrow, but it's at 11:34 on the 28th, which is until the 29th p.m. that the moon is going to go into Gemini. I'm just going to go to the next day here. And on the Tuesday, you could see the moon is already pushing through here. So we're all in our heads. We're all in our heads. And this is here in Aries. Mercury's in Aries. So it's popping now. We're popping into the week. And now's when the fire starts to really kick in again. We're moving away from the Earth. And even though it's Taurus birthdays, this moon in Gemini triggers the Jupiter-Saturn story that we've been dealing with for almost a year or whatever it is now. But Mercury is in a fireplace. I don't know if you noticed this, by the way. The last week, I had so many retrograde types of activities happen to me. Even though we've been out of a Mercury retrograde, it's been interesting. You know, I remember a week ago or whatever, Zoom went down for half the day, along with the horrible company, by the way, that's called Spotify, who completely is an unethical company that can kiss my ass. I will never give those people my money. They are the company that represents the ways to kill musicians, their livelihood. Now, there's other bunch of people in the music business, in the internet business, as their hand in this. Apple introduced the iPad or the iPod. Remember this? They changed the game. Now, we have to roll with the punches in technology-wise. I'm in a rant right now. And so, fuck Spotify. Fuck those people and their CEO and all those people, the comments he said over the years, like, you're not making music good enough or whatever because you're not getting the amount of listens. And you see how much those people, you know, when I used to do deliveries for company in Seattle, 2 to 3 companies, I even did Amazon delivery when they first did Prime. When they first did Prime, this test thing, and I was hurting for cash. And so, you know, I was running around with all these dudes, mostly from Africa, like these African immigrants. One of the best summers of my life, hanging with that whole crew of people, at least the hard workers, because we were grinding for cash, but we had to deliver. This is my channel. I don't give a fuck if I go on a tangent here. We had to deliver all over Seattle. And if you don't know, Seattle's the headquarters of Amazon, and it changed that town fundamentally. Like, Microsoft is from there and did too, from the 80s, 90s to 2000s. But they didn't knock down buildings in Seattle proper and change the real estate and change the city where it's unaffordable, and they sucked the soul out of the city. That's what Amazon did. Saying that, I had to deliver these 1 to 2 hour Prime deliveries, and I was also working for a separate delivery service that was doing food boxes, organic food boxes. So it was extreme end of the capitalistic thing. So anyway, I was doing that. So I would deliver things to office buildings where people were working. I used to deliver carloads of alcohol to Amazon buildings for people working during the day to have in their fridges. I would go into the Uber offices, these tech offices where they had pool tables and ping pong tables and full loads of food for their employees, and they were having a beer, and I'm sitting here and I'm like, I really grasped what the tech world was really all about. A certain type of mentality. They can afford to live there now in these expensive condos that are poorly built and poorly designed. And I would even go to these employees who lived 3 blocks away away from the work, so they like to keep everybody closed in the offices, right? So they don't, they're more productive. And anyway, because we're dealing with points and percentages of an algorithmic way of growing. So anyway, I would even go deliver these people in their apartments, and I would have a peek into their door, and there would be no art on the walls. And some of them had makeshift tables from the Amazon delivery boxes that were from another packaging. They made it into tables. It was the most soulless, dark things that I saw. And people never looked me in the eye whenever I delivered the packages. It was this whole thing, the whole tech mentality, this whole thing. Now, I'm generalizing. Some of these people, I'm a percentage are cool, but it's this whole cultural something that's come out of the Bay Area and infiltrated Seattle. It's not just there. It's that mindset where I will do anything to climb over anybody else to get my pay grade. It's the same mentality with the Spotify people. They can give a damn about musicians and the hard work that they put in and what it takes. And mostly creative people, they're struggling in these new tech cities where people who were artists with cheap rent established and created the culture, like in Seattle in the 80s and 90s. And then everybody else capitalized on the culture, and those people get driven out. So saying that, it leaks into other places. And a company like Spotify, which are vampires, they suck the blood out of musicians and expect them to do this and that. And we know what it takes to make money in general. And you go look at musicians. Why would anybody do that? And the people who are successful on Spotify, for the most part, they're making the music for the algorithm. And if you notice that music, it's monotonous and soulless. And rant is over. Because this actually has to do with something bigger I talk about on this channel, and it has to do with a Pluto and Aquarius transit that we're dealing with, that deals with technology, but deals with how we are going to do that as a society, how we're doing it now. Those who profess that these technological advances are for the benefit of all, but the benefit of who? And I call bullshit on most of it, but I also know the other part of something like this is the power of what people can do collectively when they at least attempt the dream to try to create something, whether it's with technology or whatever, that is actually truly with the spirit as the benefit for the all. So for me, I look at this stuff and I'm in the middle of a forecast and the stuff pops up. I have to talk shit. I'm not going to, I can't let that one go. I just can't. We're under the bridge, just talking right now. Tuesday. I'll get to chat in a second. Tuesday, Moon and Gemini. Buy on Bandcamp. If you can buy the music that you like, buy it directly. If you're going to choose a streaming service, I totally understand. Fuck Spotify. Those people, fuck them. Tidal pays out the best. If you're going to pick one, plus Tidal picks out the best. I'm a huge Bandcamp user. I like to purchase music for people on Bandcamp. It's not the best. There's other alternatives being built right now. That's for another live stream, by the way. Maybe I'll do a Pluto in Aquarius news thing every month that just talks about things that fall under that in news. And I've been noticing people collectively doing co-ops, certain types of music distributing co-ops where everyone buys in and they own these musicians, and they're bypassing even Bandcamp or the streaming services because they're trying to build something where they can get what they deserve and not just 0.00 point whatever. Listen, a lot of my oldest friends that I've known for a long time are musicians. I have one of my oldest best friends is a very well-known musician. When we lived together, I used to see checks that came in from the music, whatever, to get paid. And the check would come in an envelope. It'd come in an envelope like this with a paper check, and it used to say to so-and-so. This is from the paid streaming. $1.35. Or I'm dead serious. Like, it cost the paper they sent it to and the labor to send it cost more than actual what was on the check. It's just like, it's crazy. So yeah. Anyway, saying that, I think the fire jumped in on me on this stream. We got the moon in Gemini. It's going to do his monthly conjunction with Jupiter. That's going to happen at 9:58 a.m. on the 30th on Wednesday. Okay? And it's at 10:15 a.m. basically. You can already see it building here in the chart that you see Venus here at 29 degrees about to enter Aries. Now, let's stop here for a second. If you're watching me, you're an astrologer, you've watched other videos. If you were to pick the one thing this year that is the theme of this year, it's actually 29 degrees Pisces, 0 degrees Aries. That's the theme. That's the number one thing of the astrology of 2025 is the movement of planets that hit this place and go to 0 and come back and then do it again. And now Venus is doing it for the last time here. It started its retrograde cycle in Aries and wanted to push its will, but it had to do a massive review during 42 days of retrograde. And Venus eventually crossed over back over 0 and 29, right? And then stopped and then moved forward, right? So let's just take a look at this because this is what we do. This is what we do. Let's see. I want to go back, actually. We're going to start in January. And I'm going to go back. I'm going to go 4 months. Excuse me. What? No. Program. Computer, please get me January 1st and start the query from there. All right. So you could see here, it's not going to be the best, but the first time Venus hit 29 degrees was February 3rd. I'm going to point this out. It's not the best for the stream. It's February 3rd. Okay. So that's the first time Venus was at 29 moving forward, right? So we could say that. And then these are just dates for your head. Sorry, it's not more visually pleasing. It's basically at 10 degrees when Venus stationed retrograde, right? So that was basically the beginning of March. And then while Venus was retrograde, it was on March 27th into the 28th that Venus hit 29 degrees. So this is the second time now. And here we are basically at the third time here this week as we're building here. But think about this. Venus is completely different than the first 29 hit. Right? To have so much activity happen to Venus in a short amount of time, but it's not just anything. It's the end of the astrological degrees. You go in the full circle and you get to the last degree here. If we deal from a seasonal perspective, if we deal with the northern hemisphere view of spring and 0 degrees, what Aries means, and springing forward, springing out. This 29 degree place, Neptune's already been there. Mercury's already been there, right? But we know Saturn's going to cross this during the last weekends of May, and then later in the year, in so many months, Neptune and Saturn go retrograde, and they're going to cross this again and then do it again. So basically, Venus, in one sense here, is, I think, very strong coming out of Saturn. It's not the best in certain people's lives. I think there's a harsh, cold reality that's happened for certain people who, let's say, have things at this degree, mutable degree, or they're a Pisces. They've had to deal with a goodbye probably, or a goodbye to a way of a certain, let's say, idealistic dream that Venus and Pisces has had. And they've had a cold, hard reality happen to them with 3 hits to Saturn and a retrograde, but moving through the sun in the middle of all this. All of this is here, and all of a sudden, with all that amount of activity in this opera that Venus has been doing, here she is, here rising out and basically saying goodbye to a story, but not losing the dream. But sometimes dreams must die. That's reminding me of a song by Mother Love Bone. Go look it up. It's a song it's a 2-song thing. It's Chloe Dancer / Crown of Thorns. And it's a band out of Seattle, late 80s. And Andrew Wood was the singer who died of an overdose. Most of the people in that band, they were up and rising. It's on a major contract. They were about to become big. And that happened. Andrew was a great songwriter. Go listen to that song. Dreams must die. Anyway, it talks about a dancer in a strip bar. Anyway, saying that the people from that band eventually became Pearl Jam. A little Seattle music knowledge for you. So saying that, 29-degree moment here. We have it, okay? And appreciate this. I love this right now. Love this stream. Love when you get off the stream, your senses, what have your senses told you here in the last, since January, and the story that's played out with your connection of what the bigger picture is. Let's say in the Pisces part of your chart, and this Neptune transit that's been happening there for 14 years, a Saturn transit that's culminating here, like all this there, it's brought up to a crescendo here the last couple months. And so you have to appreciate things like in astrology, the more symbolic way that I do things. You know, even Friday that just passed, you know, I did something for Venus hour, you know, you want to do something. Actually, I'm a believer in this with planetary hours. The night Venus hour will actually be like tomorrow, Monday night here in the Northern Hemisphere. If you want to do something, regardless how you do it, really take the time. Like I did in the beginning of the stream with my senses and your senses, take the time and like, all right, Venus, what did you just go through? And where are you now? And damn, you look different. You look different. You, even when you were in the darkest places or at the heart of the sun being burned or whatever, you still look hot to me. I regardless of Venus and Pisces will always show. I think Venus and Pisces, when you actually see the wound of them, it's the most attractive part of it. I know it sounds weird, but to me, the type of exposure and vulnerability that is allowed in a Venus and Pisces story, they are usually having people come into the world that are wounded, and they are seeing the beauty in what is not normal or not, it's disconformed. It's not. It's what others, most of the world would see is not fitting the beauty aesthetic. But if you talk to any serious Pisces or somebody's got Venus at Pisces, they'll see it. They'll even see in the compassion and the care and the the all love feeling that goes into something. It sees it in the hardest and harshest of places, and that is a gift. But when you see Venus and Pisces show that themselves, and you were to witness something like that, I'll tell you, your definition of beauty changes. And you don't see the world the same way anymore. Usually, when we see the rose blooming, if we catch it, we know there are the thorns. This goes back to the damn song I'm talking about again. I didn't plan on this, but anyway, beauty has thorns. And I think there's moments in a Venus story when we see the perfect moment, the exactness, the sacred geometry, and the mathematics of Venus and what she does in the sky and all that, the bigger picture and longer 8-year chapter cycles and the whole deal, and the lotus flower and its transits in the sky, all that kind of shit. But if you really look at it, if you really get down to it, it's dark, it's dirty, it's not perfect. And so for me, in my life as being a Venus ruled person, I have learned so many things, especially in Venus and Pisces encounters and situations. And if I think about the last couple months, if I think about the last couple months in the part of my chart that it is, I had to go deep there. I had to like see those thorns and break it down, or it went to pieces, and like the whatever it is of beauty broke itself, like it fell over, it wilted. The coldness of Saturn in the beginning brought the cold ice, and it froze it, and then it shattered into pieces. And then it's just like, oh, and then how hard that is, because that shattering to pieces was a dream. Actually, it was something that it was bigger, and whatever that part of my chart is, right? I saw it, and I was like, and had to, mourn that kind of thing and do it in a way where I've come to in my life. Maybe you've done this too, where you come to your life where then the shattering has happened of the beauty of what was idealistic of what it was, and there's a cold, harsh reality of Saturn coming in. And then I realized, in my mourning of this and mourning that, I will ritualize this. And in my sadness and my darkness, and with the pieces of Aphrodite in front of me, the coldness, the dream died. When I did that acknowledgement and mourned, I still did it, like, beautifully. You know what I mean? Even on the meat hook, stripped away, right? That's beauty too. And I think to know that, you see then all the phases of what beauty is and what sensory is and your connection to the world, and you come to an acceptance of it. And I think at certain times in one's life, from the Venus perspective, when it doesn't seem to be beautiful or whatever, you know that it is always is that way, and part of the process of death, or not perfect, or so-called what the world sees as ugly. It's not actually. It's always beautiful, right? So saying that, thanks for going on with me for me. Here we are at 29 degrees. You know, it gets to this place, right? Everything and nothing with Pisces and Venus at 29 degrees. And not only is it the lesson, it's the it's knowing at this point the whole journey through all the signs, and knowing the experience of all the signs in this last place, and then a letting go, right? In this case, we know what we're letting go into because we track things as astrologers, and we're letting go only to push forward out of the gates. And so basically, now I'm going to get to chat in a second. Basically, I'll move it by the hour here, and let's see if I catch it just right. I should just do it. It's going to happen here. It's right here. I'll just pick that spot. It's officially at 10:15 a.m. that Venus will enter Pisces or Aries right here. And a big chapter now of the story I've talked about on this channel of the vision, the re-envisioning with Venus or with the Pisces world, and what had to happen during eclipse season and everything else, and Mercury retrograde, all that. Now Venus comes into the game and leaves that, and it comes right into Pisces now, like, all right, let's go. And at this time now, Mars, the ruler of this, isn't in Cancer anymore, right? It's in Leo, a fellow fire sign. So it's a whole different ball game now of how Aries is going to initiate themselves in the world. And Mercury, even Neptune, even Jupiter and Gemini, and Mars and Leo, they've been waiting for Venus. They're like, come on now, we've been waiting for you. We've already started down the path. Mars, as I talked about on this channel, you know, with my live streams and my videos in the last month and a half, Mars has already been down the path. So like, I'm going, fuck all y'all. Like, you better catch up with me if you even care. So now here's Venus. Like, hey, here I am, right? Here I am. And the interesting thing here is, before I get to the next chapter here, what I'm going to talk about this week, I'm going to look at chat, is you could already tell by looking at this chart what Venus is coming into already, right? What it's going to do. Already entering into the Aries thing, right? So I'm going to get to that in a second. I'm going to look at chat here and catch up. I'm going to do this quick because I see a bunch of you here. I just want to acknowledge everybody like I do on this channel. If I miss you, I'm sorry. Hey, NORWAC Astrology, what's up? It's around the rant time in this chat when I'm looking. Good to see you. I think I want to say your name correctly. Danielle, Alana, yep. Thank you for being here. Mani, a channel member, thanks for being here. Lisa Mann is in the house. Got their own music on Bandcamp. Cool. That's cool. Right on. Good for you. First Fridays of every month, when you purchase on Bandcamp, if they're still doing it, I don't know if they're still doing it, it's feeless for the artist. They get straight 100% of the purchase. I think they're still doing that. I'm not too sure. And who else am I missing here? Sorry, I can't read all of the. Oh, NORWAC Astrology says zero tropical Aries is near the Great Square of Pegasus, aka the Field of the Abyss. Oh wow! Thank you for that one. Intense play in the sky. Oh yeah, Abyss, Field of the Abyss. Yeah, I would consider that intense. Karen Locker, thank you for a super chat. Karen, appreciate you. With a rose right there. Thanks for seeing us, Venus and Pisces, folks. How can we not see you unless you're like materializing or dismaterializing into whatever veil and coming back and forth through the veil? We see you right now, that is for sure, in the early morning sky. So saying that, James Sanders, thank you for a super chat. Wow. Thank you, James. Thank you, my friend. Yes, right on. You guys didn't know who's going to show up today. You're catching my meat hook references. This is good. Titi and X says, a couple years ago, I made my first ritual oil after a period of deeply mourning a loss of a loved one and mourning my old life and never being the same person again. I still use that oil. You know what's interesting here about ritual? Or about memory, or how we use ritual with memory and how we move forward, but it's always there, what we carry, what we choose to carry with us. That is magic. That is, we call it whatever you want or whatever the trendy thing's been in the astrology world the last 5 years. Everybody does this. Everybody has a way of dealing with cycles ending and beginning. All cultures do it. So whether people know it or not, there's the words that we use. Everyone's a witch and magician. You know what I mean? Everybody is. Now, the biggest differences is the intent. And there's those out there who wield it for nefarious purposes. That's the difference. My opinion. Patrick's in the house. What's up, buddy? Patrick's a channel member, along with Eve Alta is in here too. Thanks for being here. JRP Jelly just got in the chat. Good to see you here, Patrick. Good to see you soon at NORWAC, which I'm going to talk about at the end of the stream. I must keep going. Here is Venus and Aries right here, right there. And that happens officially on the 30th, 10:15 a.m. And for those who I am connected to and care about and other time zones, it happens on May 1st. And can you believe it? Can you believe this? That I'm saying those words, May 1st. Now, I can't believe it's gone this fast, but believe it. And as for a quickie here that I'm going to say, we want to take notice here. It's in the middle of the night where I am in Pacific zone. The moon goes into Cancer. We don't have to do moon in Cancer with Mars anymore. Right? So that's out of the way. I'm glad for this. Now we're just dealing with moon squaring all the Aries stuff. And so I think this particular point in time when we get into Thursday and the Friday can be heated here because basically the moon's going to square all the Venus, Neptune, Mercury, Chiron, which is ruled by this Mars in Pluto, or opposite Pluto. And it just so happens that this day, for those who, when they see the date May 1st, know that this is a big action day, historically, for many people, it's a workers' rights day. It's May Day. For depending on your philosophy or what culture you come in, this is a day where, in a sense, we recognize what unions have done in the United States and other parts of Europe and other parts of the world. There is always some sort of march, some sort of action taken. I think this should be interesting this year. And for those who watch my channel, know, and I think maybe I'll pull this chart up. We know that many people in the auto workers unions and some of the other ones have had this planned for the last couple of years to build a general strike to happen here in the United States. Now, there's people always calling for a general strike on May Day, right? And I've been to a couple of them in the past. It's not the general strike that you're going to see where the French are shutting down the airports and the train stations, that level of it, right? Now, mind you, it's a smaller country. They have a history. The Greeks just did their own. They didn't do it here, but Greeks have had a massive protest at the end of February because of a train crash that happened because of inadequacies in the train system, and many students were killed. They were on the streets. They know how to do this spontaneously. Now, this is the types of things that we're talking about. But again, there is a movement happening here slowly, and there's a lot of even warring factions within the union. Some of those who have been Trump voters for unions. Whatever the case is, I've talked about that the plan is in several years here, they're calling on a massive shutdown. I think it might happen sooner than they think because of what's happening with the admin, but May 1st is the deal. Okay. And anyway, this particular May 1st is a little bit of contentious astrologically, actually, because I think of that moon in Cancer and what even represents the United States chart too, etc., etc. When we deal with the past, ancestry, what the country's built on, what gives us security, supposedly what has given us security, safety, etc., right? And it gets set off with the Venus all of a sudden coming in here and the Mercury that's running really fast now. It's moving along. If you take Chiron into account, etc., you see what's going on here. I just have to point that out. So, Lisa says, I survived May Day 2000. That's funny. I know that year very, very well, and that's the 99 to 2000 year. Very politically in Seattle was huge because we dealt with WTO that happened that particular time too. So anyway, and I was there for that one. I got pictures somewhere. I was with a whole crew of people on the streets. We were dressed up as Santa Clauses, and we were like being clowns on the street, farces to deal with consumerism. we even made the anarchists like laugh when they're being ultra serious in their formations, in their black box formations. I will never forget this. We were imitating them because you gotta have a sense of humor. There was 50 to 60,000 of us on the street for the WTO marches. That's when I learned how to do a protest, by the way. I'll get into it in a second because it was high level stuff. Because when I ran into union members, there's union members all over the United States. I ran into a whole crew from Pittsburgh. I don't know if they were iron workers. And along the protest route, it was a massive organizational march. I jumped in a bar to do a shot. No. This guy grabbed me. I was talking to, come on, you're going to do it my way. And I was like, what the hell is my way? So we went into the bar. And these dudes were like, this is how we do it. And along whatever protest route they're doing, these are old school union dudes, they would pound a beer and do a shot. So where the march was going, there's a lot of bars on that route. So by the time the protest was done, I was lit. And these guys were lit, but it was really cool to share a beer with people from the East Coast who are union members. Anyway, sorry, I had a flashback right there. And the whole time I was dressed in a Santa Claus suit doing this. And I had long ass hair down to my back by that long ass hair. So anyway, it's May Day on Thursday. If you don't know what this is, go research the history of it because it's going to be in your face the next couple of years. And let's do it actually because this is how I roll on the channel. I think it was Actually, I'll do it this way. I think it's 2028. Yes, it is. I think they were calling to build up to 2028. And the reason is, and this is when I looked at the chart, is you have this exact sextile that we're going to be dealing with Uranus at this point in 2028 at 8 degrees and Pluto on 8 degrees. And when they announced the date, it's the first thing I saw. I couldn't believe it. I was like, they don't know what they're doing. But at this point, from wherever we're going to go to as a country, I think at this point the plan was to have that timeline to be at the scale that they want. So basically 3 years from now. But I even think it's going to scale up. I mean, we're going to see stuff every year on May Day. It just is what it is. But that in particular is what's going on there. And I just needed to point that out. There's something else I see in this chart, but I'm not going to go there right now. As a matter of fact, on that day on 28th, look at this. You got a Mars-Saturn conjunction that happens. That's brawn right there in Earth. And then let's go look at where Saturn is in the chart. Oh, yeah, there it is, because it's ruling this Pluto. And then what's ruling Gemini that day is a 0-degree ingress. Oh, man, Messenger. Wow, look at that. Look at that. May 1st is right here, and we're noting what's happening on the 1st. We're also going to note that, and this is the other big thing about this day, is if you're looking at Mars here, it is later on that night. I'll do it by the hour. It's a very important marker, and I'll tell you why. I'll just pick this moment that goes into the 2nd, and it's because Mars basically is finishing its shadow zone. That is the point at Mars and Leo at 6 degrees. Last September, or excuse me, December, the beginning of December of 2024, Mars went through Cancer and went into Leo, and it hit this place. It hit this place and this area where it went retrograde. So it went as far as 6, and now after all these months and dealing with that, Mars is finally caught up to this place. And I feel like along with Venus in Aries this week, moving through, and now Mars passing the shadow area of the retrograde, we're fully fire going now. And I think a lot of us have been waiting for this. I don't think it's perfect because Pluto's involved. For all the people who were bitching about how they couldn't stand Mars in Cancer, maybe you haven't realized in the last week, or you're going to realize this week. Maybe you wish it was back there, actually. You know, you might be like, oh, I didn't realize when I was trying to stir up stuff online on the Threads account, try to get everybody on my side. Like, I can't wait till Mars gets out of Cancer. And it's like, yeah, you can't wait. You can't wait for Mars to go opposite of Pluto. Is that what you're saying? Or did you not see that? Anyway, this is a moment right here where we're marking this. It's important. Now I feel Venus still has to go through her shadow period and get through, but here is important. We have a major move here. And so I think this is where fully Mars in Leo is unleashed. Mars is speeding now. It's happening now, and it's hitting uncharted territory, right? It hasn't, it's finally starting to move here. So that happens late on my May 1st, 11:06 p.m. Pacific, but into the 2nd. And if you're noticing here, finally, I'll get to chat in a bit. Since I'm breezing along, I'm almost an hour in. I'm doing pretty good. Then we will go to the 2nd, or we are at the 2nd, but we're going to go farther in by the hour. I'm going to go right here as I speed along in my software. I'm going to pick this moment that is such an odd bird of a thing. And it's right here at 10:06 a.m. Pacific on the 2nd, my Thursday Pacific, the 3rd for other people, that we have the 3rd Venus-Neptune conjunction that's happened here. But this time, out of recently, but this time it happens in Aries. So Aries comes out of the Piscean place and is raring to go, but it has to go through Neptune and Pisces, or in Aries. What's the difference? What would be the difference between a conjunction that happens in Pisces and Aries? So more on the Piscean, it's just more wide open. It's not like an active movement. It's more lazing around, more fluid, more spread out. It's not like, So, that's what Aries does. And so the vision that's been reconstructed by Venus and during the retrograde and having to go through with Saturn and its other past two places of what is real, what's not. Is it a lie? Is it fabricated or not? When it went through, Neptune and Pisces 2 other times, this time it comes through, and I think that the new vision is reinforced here. It's different because it has to do with what I need to get. What I initially envisioned, I had to reconstruct in vision, but I'm still have the vision. But now, how am I going to do this? It's proactive. It's not contemplative. It's not spreading out. It's proactive, and it's coming through Neptune slowly this week and coming through here and be like, this is the way I'm going to do it. And it's if you think about a dream that was broken down and then reconstructed in Pisces, and then if you were thinking about it elementally, that dream is dripping with embers and sparks kind of, right? But it's giving a certain type of like, I see it now, I'm going to get this. And you know, the interesting thing is, I think for people out there who are Aries, this is a big moment for you this week. You've done massive eclipses the last year and a half. You've had to deal with a Chiron story. You've had to deal with this retrograde, a Mercury retrograde. Aries people, it's not your birthdays anymore. Get a hold of me if you are in a place right now where you're like, wait a second, I've been waiting for these moments. I just don't have the plan. Or I feel it in my bones. Like I feel it and I know I must go somewhere. And that's what we love about Aries, is that it just wants to do it. But if you really want to do it, if you really want the result, it's the key. It's to know what your result is and know what the bigger goal is, the end something on the battlefield. You must be strategic. Usually, it's a Venus-Saturn thing that's strategic, and it is. But there is a little bit of strategic something here with Neptune in my mind, because it's more about being clear with the vision. There's some things that need to be figured out here tactically. Can we be creative about this and imaginative about this, but in a way where we don't lose anything like it would happen in Pisces? We're not losing anything here. We could be shedding some remnants of what happened in Pisces, but here, it's a thing. It's like, I see it, and it has nothing to do with anybody else. It's like me, what I want. I see it, and I must go for it. Any story that you look in our world, when a part of the story has to do with death and rebirth, usually has to do with a moment where not only is something envisioned, but the spark follows right afterwards. So there's something that pushes, and it's almost at the exact moment as the vision scene is like realized, it's also the spark at the same time. So this is my version of looking at this, is this kind of situation and movement. And it's fascinating. It's a rare beast here, considering 2 past conjunctions in Pisces, but the third one is different. And, you know, we talk about fire and sword and shield and pushing through and get out of my way and all that stuff. But here, it's a spiritual thing. It isn't just like, I must get this job, or I must do this thing, like this like material thing. No. This is a warrior on a spiritual quest. And so that is a whole different ballgame than other types of transits, you know. So saying that, that's what kicks in here at this week here on the Friday, on the 2nd. I'll get to chat here because I'm gonna breeze through to Sunday. I want to say that at this point we want to pay attention here to the moon. It's still in Cancer right here, so on and so forth. We have some cardinal action going on, as you could see when we go to the next day. There we see the moon is in Leo, and now we're doing monthly moon Mars conjunctions in Leo, which is a whole different beast than Cancer. And here we are at this first one right here. Like this is a big deal. And so now this moon is connecting with all the Aries stuff off the bat, with Venus coming out of the spiritual quest that it knows it's on now. And you can't stop anybody like that, man. If they're dialed in, Aries is dialed in, and they see the big picture and the new quests that they're on, they're going to, you know, up their HP points and go get certain weapons. This is video game talk. They're going to level up. They want to level up, right? So they're going to talk to the villagers and start to move forward. And, you know, they're going to go to the place where they're forging certain types of things they're going to need on the journey. Anyway, Mars Moon conjunction, that happens officially. Why am I not seeing this? Why did I not? That's officially going to happen on the 3rd at 5:12 p.m., so on and so forth. Did I move anything? Let's just go to Sunday so I can wrap this up. Oh, just another Sunday like today, huh? Just another Sunday, right? I'm looking at chat. I'm gonna talk to y'all in chat here. What's going on this chart? This is a sneaky thing. At first, I thought it was later in May. this particular thing, right? But this is a sneaky thing. All this movement going forward, and it is. Then you have this deity who's been back in the action recently because of the Mars being opposite. By the way, this ain't going away by a degree. I think we're going to really do Mars-Pluto the next 2 weeks. I just think it's really going to show itself. Anyway, could show itself on May Day on Thursday. Anyway, so saying that, we have this. And what's happening here is Pluto is stationing retrograde. We just had a brief period of time where no planets were retrograde, damn it. And then all of a sudden I'm going to do this. Those of you who have 1, 2, 3 degree Aquarius stuff, Leo stuff, big moment here. You have to track the current storyline that's happened with Mars triggering the opposition with Pluto. You have to track this because this is going to come back. When Pluto eventually comes back to this place, down the line, Saturn in Aries, Neptune in Aries, Uranus in Gemini next year are going to hit these places. Pay attention. We have a massive Pluto station here. When we know an outer body planet's station, it takes a while for it to move. As a matter of fact, I mean, when does like it actually go to 2 degrees? If I go a month later, it's still June 4th, still 3 degrees. If I go a month later in July, Pluto is still at 3 degrees. Remember this, Mercury's going to be opposite Pluto to continue the story, right? When it hits in Leo. Anyway, Venus will eventually do this down the line too. But when does it? Like, when does it go? Like, here's the next month. Here's August 4th. There's 2 degrees. So we're at an important place with Pluto. Now, I'm going to say something here, and I think this is important. I'm a big Pluto guy on this channel. Some of you saw my Instagram post where I did something. I said, I love Pluto, and I made a proclamation on my Instagram last week. Go look at it. Who I am as a human and as an astrologer. I fear Pluto, but I've come to accept Pluto in my life over the years. I love Pluto. If you're going to love something, you got to know there's the other side of it. You got to fear it a little bit because of what love can do to you. I'm not saying that as someone who's jaded and cynical, but I am. But anyway, I want you to understand something. When we're listening and talking about the astrology and Plutonian stuff, know that it's a long game. Is it a big thing, the station coming up here? It is. This 3 degree, it is. But you cannot let that stop you from being propelled by fire this week and what you have left in your life the last 4 months. You cannot, don't get scared and be like, Pluto's this, or I'm afraid what Pluto's going to do in Aquarius part of my chart. It's a long game that I've talked about on this channel. So please go look at Venus and Mars. Go look at the new path that you finally get to start putting your foot in and initiate in your world in these certain parts of your chart. Regardless of the politics out there, regardless of everything, do not let it stop you from all the work and all the knowledge that you've built up and acquired the last 4 months, even since December. So even if Pluto's stationing, don't freak out about that stuff. Try not to, okay? Try to look at other planets and utilize them this week. We are definitely crossing a bridge, and we're going to steamroll through May. And then next thing you know, end of May, the weekend of the conference I'm going to be at, that's when Saturn goes into Aries. We're still got to do Saturn at 29 degrees and cross the threshold, right? We're going to do that. And then here comes June, which is Jupiter going into Cancer for the 3rd square with Saturn. This time it's in Cardinal. There's a different vibe going on. I like to look at things as a story, as an opera, and there's chapters that come. Sometimes we go to the past, we figure things out, but is it any story, it must move forward. It's going to move forward regardless. But you have to gauge in your world where you see something new, the feeling of moving forward, and you have to go there. If there's storylines, if there's things that are stagnant and you have to wait for other pieces of information to come to make decisions on that, I totally get it. This is why clients see me. But you also have to look where you can actually be proactive and move forward and not let rhetoric, astrology rhetoric, and certain things freak you out and keep you frozen, especially with something like Pluto or Neptune or something like that. They work in different ways and different time ways. Okay, so I'm only saying this for people. I have so many people in the last 4 years who come to me and get readings and like they're really worried about Pluto in their chart. And I totally get it. In one way you should be, depending on the chart. But I think a lot of it comes from a certain rhetoric over the years in the astrology world and what Pluto represents. It's a heavy hitter. No, I'm not shying away from that. But I think it works in different ways than like something with Mars and Saturn and all that. And it's more a bigger picture type of deal, okay? As a reminder, okay? What do I have here? What phone? That's not it. What did I do? Yeah, as a reminder, where is my, the light, the fire. I mean, there's Pluto there. There's Mercury, Mars. I did that stream the other day. I just can't find where my other slideshow is. No, that's not it. You know what I'm doing here. I was going to say you got to trust yourself. You know, this is the moment this week. Again, with Pluto, some of the mantras I talked about on the channel about trusting yourself and being prepared. Even when stuff like this happens, you know enough now. You're learning from a Plutonian perspective in the Aquarius part of your chart how to work this and how to use it, knowing when to take a break and knowing when to be constructive creatively. In the end, no matter what it is, you're trusting yourself in all this, and it's setting you up for something bigger. Like that May Day 1st March on 2028. So anyway, let's go to chat. Let me go right here and just say hi to everybody before I do some things here that I have to talk about astrologically. I'm looking at your chat. Okay, so Tal's in the house. Tal, how are you? What's up, my friend? Good to see you. I don't know if you were here earlier, Tal. I was referencing Mother Love Bone. It came up. A Crown of Thorns, a Chloe Dancer song. Lisa Mann's looking forward to NORWAC. Wow, yeah. I'm about to drop something this week on another channel that has to do with this. You're going to see it. I will make sure you all know. I'm looking forward to do that. I'm going to talk about that here in a second. Hey, Astrologer Mackenzie. Greetings to you, my friend. Good to see you here. James, did you just drop another chat? James is going for the rainbow on the super chats. I got a yellow one from James. And now we're going, I don't know why. I should like to heart this with it. Oh, wait a second. I know what's going on here. Give me a second. I got to restore is my stream crashing here? Hold on a second. I'm trying to redo my chat here. Be patient with me. I can't see my chat right now. Let's transition out of this shit, man. Let's clear the astrological error. As I wait for my chat to pop up. The technological stuff that happens with browser caches filling up and RAM being filled and not allowing me to see my chat. It's frustrating. Let's see if it allows me to. No, it doesn't want to do that. What is going on? Let me do a new window. Ooh, yeah, that tab was just eating up a bunch of. There we go. It picked my light the fire. Why is it doing that? Okay, so yeah, like on my end, I can't see the chat, and now I can. And this is what happens when you're doing live streams. The computer, I'm doing multiple things at the same time with multiple programs, and it's just like, it's like the engine's overheating, basically. And so let me get there. There. Woohoo! Let me do this right. Because I missed super chats. There is James Sanders was the second one. Solidarity. You said that. I was talking about May Day. Solidarity. You're right on, man. We got each other's backs. We're in tune. We're in tune. Catherine is talking about in chat belting. That's okay. We're about to go down. Do what you got to do. Okay. Go. If you got somebody, go orgasms under the bridge on the grass. Put a blanket first because that can itch. Okay. So go do that. Anyway. Beltane, and my annual walk up to the Druid circles on the hill above my wee Scottish town. Oh, Catherine, you're at the birthplace of that stuff. The day I walked with my ancestors of the past. Catherine, thank you for saying that. That's a really cool thing right there. And for those who celebrate the midpoints of the seasons, which comes from that part of the world, basically, many people in the world, or those who consider themselves pagan, other things, or whatever, celebrate this amazing fertile celebration of fertility that happens. So Catherine, thank you for your comment there, and a great reminder of that, so on and so forth. And I'll make sure I pull that up because no, thank you for that. We have to remember that, not the May Day, so everything else. We have to remember the midpoint of the season. That's the other part of this. You want to do a revolutionary act? Then taste the honey. You know what I'm saying? Zip your hands in that honey and put it all over your face, okay? That's the way I would do it. I'm the type of guy who'll eat a pie with my hands. Okay, so anyway, it's been a long time since I can't do sugar like I used to, but I used to eat like cherry pie with my hands, and then like pumpkin pie in different seasons. I used to like to eat pie with my hands, like as in breakfast in bed. That's Taurus in me. Lisa Man, Mark Croker. I know why you're putting that, but I'll look at this later. Patrick, I am recalling memories. I'm 11's here. I think Mars and Libra is more anointing than Cancer. Oh my God, that's funny. Emily Ann, hey, good to see you, Emily Ann, a fellow colleague. Glad that you're on the stream if you're still here. And let me go through little dreamscapes with a super chat and a magic wand in the super chat. Thank you for your donation on the stream. Thank you so much for doing this. And by the way, thank you for showing up spontaneously on a Sunday night stream for me and a Monday morning stream for some of you. Okay? Appreciate all of you that you go with my flow. Okay? Karen made a Pluto playlist. Happy to share with anybody. I'd say you could drop a link at chat, but I don't have that turned on for good reason, if you could imagine what can happen. But yeah, somehow I don't know how I could share that. This is making me think about my Patreon. Like, this is the type of stuff that people can drop in on a Patreon. And part of me was thinking about starting a Discord for my channel, but it would be another thing that I have to deal with. So I'm trying to understand membership and places for people to talk to off thing. I could sort of do this with channel members on YouTube. I don't have the time to figure that out, but it's on my list. J.S. Ballard saying, check out the Pluto direct chart in October. It's wild. We will then. I'll do that right now. Let me acknowledge this. Lisa Mann, thank you for the message of courage. Thank you for saying that, because that's what I said in the Light the Fire live stream. And I was trying to sum up this week, not the Plutonian thing. I mean, I was, but it actually has to do with that. It takes courage, even when one fears if it's a Pluto situation, or you use Pluto to empower yourself towards courage, not knowing, I'm really glad that you left this comment, because it's really the theme with fire and how we'll take it here in the next couple of weeks. While Mercury's still going to be in Aries, Venus has to go through, and Mars being in Leo, it's all courage there. And that is, when we have transits like this, you must utilize it. You must, at some point, and however you are going to choose to be courageous. And when one is courageous, it usually comes from a place of resistance and fear and not knowing, and get to a place, I must do this, a fire thing, an Aries thing. When we're in these places, it's not just the thinking, it's the act. And we must put ourselves on the playing field to see how we perform, to see what we can and cannot do. That it's not just the vision that we have put in our minds and had to reconstruct here in the last couple of months, but we must try to put it into play. I must do this. I must wield my sword in the world. Let's just say the sword of creativity here, however sword you want to wield. I appreciate you saying this, Lisa. It's summing up in one sense, things I was trying to say. You have to have that feeling of warrior. Must feel that way on the battlefield or whatever it is, or the creation project. You must put yourself against the world to see where you've grown. And not only that, to get the ecstatic, euphoric feeling of your blood pumping and you're like taking action into like a new world, a new place feeling. I mean, there's nothing in life like that, you know. Lisa, thank you for that. Black Moon Jesus is back here. Good to see you here. And I want to make sure I get everybody. Tracy Lila's in here. I appreciate you too for being here, Tracy. Gwenna's throwing owls at me. Which is right behind me. Good to see you. Denise is in here dancing along with Maybe, talking about Pluto. And Yasmina, hello. How are you, Yasmina? I caught a little bit of your stream earlier, by the way. I did. Good to see you here. Megan's in the house too as a channel member with the wings. Oh, Shayla's here. Hi. Have you ever continued building on Mighty? Yes, but you know what? I hate Mighty's interface. Mighty drives me crazy. The way I'm on another Mighty that I was adminning and I get too many notifications, I don't like it. It's something about it throws me off. The emails that come from Mighty when you're like signing up for stuff, they are relentlessly pushing and selling stuff on you, and they just turned me off. When I get my practice, my community bigger, there's a couple other situations that I might do. The thing is, a lot of people are on Mighty so they can use the app. They've left a bad taste in my mouth. But it could change for me. And I understand, by the way, the progressive Aquarian intentions involved in my people on my channel. And so thank you for saying that, because it's a reminder too. There's a couple other website tabs of the 500 that I have open. That's why my browsers are crashing of things I'm trying to do as a community. That is down the line. Can't go there right now, but thank you for saying that, my friend. Good to see you here. Good to see you. Let's do something here as I'm going. I can't help but talk about this because I'm involved in it, all right? Catherine says, courage to stay grounded in the beauty of the world. Thank you, Catherine. Thank you so much. Let's do it. Let's do this. Big conference happening. Online sold out. Sometimes, though, if you're in the Seattle, Portland area, get on the waiting list and email Laura here. You can go to contact here and do it, because if you're thinking about going in person, I'll bet you a slot will open up for you in person. It's like that right now. This is what happens this type of the year. Some people will switch they can't attend in person. They switch to the online part. So go on the list. If you're thinking like, I'm in the area, I could go there, I could do this. Let's say you're not. You still have time to get a ticket. You would have to figure out a place to stay. But if you want to do this, I will put your name on a list there. You just have to press contact here, and you can go to this email address and email Laura, who runs the conference. And I would do it. Now, if you cannot do that and you're thinking about it, it's online. I will be there. Patrick in chat will be there. There's a couple other people in chat going to be there in person. But I will also be there online my online presence. So will Laura. So will Samantha, another astrologer who was there online, kind of like holding space over there. She's fabulous, great astrologer. This is happening the 22nd through the 26th. The schedule is there's a couple pre-conference pre-workshops. There's an online one only with Richard Tarnas that's going to happen on the 22nd in the morning. It's called The Extraordinary Power of Deep Transit Analysis. You can go see this at norwac.net. By the way, I'm going to drop this in chat. And if my browser doesn't want to work, it just doesn't want to work, does it? No. I want to. Wait a second. That's on. Reactions, yeah, pop out chat. And I'll wait for that to load. Emily Ann's first time, excited. Devin's in the house. Devin, good to see you. It's gonna be his first time there. Got a room. Sweet, good. Nice to get a rest when you're there, because your mind's overloaded in Happy Land. I want to put this here. For those, you can buy this separately, by the way. Let's say you want to check out Richard Tarnas's lecture. I'll try to get as big as possible. That is happening over Zoom only. That is there. An amazing thing happens here later. There's a pre-conference, pre-workshop with Lisa Scheim. If you know her from the Astrology Podcast channel, she does great elections. She's an amazing teacher. I, in particular, am psyched for this one. It's a zodiacal releasing workshop. If you're into Hellenistic astrology, this is a 5-hour workshop with breaks. If you ever want to learn anything about zodiacal releasing, this is the one to do. The crazy thing, not the crazy, but the cool thing about NORWAC is for the online portion, we have room monitors in the rooms in the computer, and they're interacting with you watching online. So if you have a question for the speaker, they relay it to the person, to the speaker, and they answer it. So there's that part of it. The other part of this is we have breakout rooms for people to hang out online. So you're not just seeing lectures. There's other people there you'll be interacting with. I'm going to throw some surprises at everybody when I can. On site, I'll be able to log in my room and possibly in another way. And in between times, or when it's just kind of an open area, like on Saturday night, they have a party online. There's a theme. Last year, I was surprising everybody. I was bringing people in person, partying and bringing them into the Zoom room and just saying quick hellos to everybody in chat. All these types of things, that's online. Anyway, there's a pre-conference workshop. And then on Friday, you see there's 4 different pre-conference workshops. So you got Demetra George, Jason Hawley, Ann Orley, electional astrology, Kira Sutherland, the medical astrologer. They're all powerhouses. They're all incredible. And then the conference starts, the 3-day part of the conference where the lectures are that you could see here. Again, if you're interested in doing this, the interesting thing about this is you can attend the lecture, you can attend the conference like Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Okay? You can attend by the day. You can attend a pre or post conference workshop and not attend the conference. You can a la carte it if you want. I'll tell you, if you were to do the whole weekend, and let's say you wanted to do a pre or post, you get a slight price break on that. But again, it's kind of all in one or in packages. I know people here that are definitely going to do just pre or post conferences. If I go to the posts that happen on the Monday, you have Horary Workshop, Astrology with Wade Caves. Nina Griffin, which is amazing that she's going to be at this conference, is doing a workshop in astrological magic. As you know, if you follow her, you know her history and her teaching skills, with all of this. She puts out a PDF newsletter, or you can purchase that on elections for the month, all that kind of stuff. Nina's going to be there. Judith is a medical astrologer out of Portland, Oregon. I've known Judith for a long time. She's got her amazing brain that just has so much packed in there, and you get your money's worth, in her stuff. And then Gemini Brett, who's really, by the way, Gemini Brett's slideshows are always over the top. They're so crazy well constructed when you're watching like online. They're just so well done. And he's teaching astrocartography and astrolocality. That's the pre and post. Again, you could see other things. It's become a tradition here on Sunday nights that Sam Reynolds does the closing lecture that's there. Am I selling this? In one way I am, but it's also because if I would not be here if it were not for this conference. The first time I attended 14, 15 years ago, whatever, it set me off on a trajectory till now where I'm ranting about how I hate Spotify and how workers of the world are going to unite and we're going to crush neo-Nazis and fascism. Okay, because we are. And I will use anything in my power to do it. Astrology is one of my powers. I will use it. I've been using it on this channel. I'm going to double and triple down this whole year on this. Nothing to lose now. We learn to be safe in our own autonomous space, to be whatever we have to be there. A place where we do not criticize ourselves. And if we do deconstruct ourselves, we do it lovingly. And all the imprinting out there, the world, society, structures, governments, rules that have gotten in the way of your unleashing of your true self, or the others in your world that are trying to do the same thing. We shed those things. We deconstruct those things off of us in our safe, healthy, strong, autonomous place. And then we walk out again. And we do this process back and forth. I say this to you because astrology for me is in the game. It's part of that process for me. And I am not the only one. There's many of us. You're sitting here on my stream, on my chat. I know. And there's many that we don't even know. We don't even know. And they're there and they're watching. They're there. They're waiting. They're waiting. And some know it in their hearts and they don't know what to do. And when you walk out of your autonomous space wielding your creative weapons with others different than you but aligned, those other people whose hearts are stirred but don't know what to do with it, they see you. You lead by example. They have the spark. They jump in. And when I am tired and I have to go back into my space, there are those others who have the energy and they're out there working it and doing what they can to resist at the same time to create. And when they're down and they need to replenish, I'm ready to roll and I'm coming out in my way. The interesting thing here is remember, whatever modalities that you use, your astrology, it's something from your culture, something that your grandma taught you. This is your inherent power and right. They are in fear of this. You got these new reformation movement that's been happening in the United States about like how to deal with the sinners of the world and how they're infiltrating government. They're part of Project 2025. They're calling us unhuman. J.D. Vance, all these guys, they're all into this stuff. They think you're evil. They don't like it that you're queer. They think that the things you've tried to change within culture and gone through to accept everyone, so everyone has a chance, they think that's the devil. So fuck these people. They're not going to get their way. We are going to come right back at them, right? Now, you have to understand what your gifts and talents are, how you're going to do this. Some wield a heavier sword, some do it in a different way. Whatever it is, you can't give up. Now, I'm on a side tangent rant with this one because I'm doubling and tripling down on this channel. There's no way for me to separate these things. Now, if I do a political astrology, sometimes I can look at charts and governments and this and that. I could do it that way, but I'm doing it in my way. It's more of like what you and I can come to in places through transits and through growth and through outer body planets and what's going to happen and how we can kind of move with the punches and do it strategically. So for me, my entry into the world was all of our entries to the world were through a birth canal or through an incision or had to be open and see, whatever it was. That in itself is a rebellious act, and it is yours and yours alone. No one could control that shit or tell you how to do it or what you do afterwards. We come into the world imprinted in what we're supposed to do and go along with rules, and some of them are legit. We need them. Some of them you realize are not who you are. We get to a first Saturn return and we realize what we take with us in the Act 2 and leave in Act 1, and we kind of leave with, that's not me. Some of these do work for me. I move on. Those are revolutionary acts. You know what I mean? That's like powerful moments. That's astrology. We're using astrology. We're using the stars and constellations and fixed stars and whatever else and tarot cards and whatever modalities, and that's how we're understanding and trying to find meaning in the world. So you cannot separate it. I can't separate it. I am definitely anti-fascist till I die. And I'm not going to let anybody or any fucking weird, trippy religious people or whatever, mess with my healthcare, mess with my decision-making, mess with the way I can cross a border, or any people that I know, or they're just trying to break everything down. And it's like, I am like, they kiss my ass. I don't give a fuck. At the same time, I'm open to other people who are realizing, let's say they voted a current administration in, that they realize they made a mistake. I'm willing to have conversations with those people, even about things we disagree with, because they know inherently there's some base core things like inalienable rights. So, astrology's led me to amazing places in my life and hard places, but I am not going to ignore, and I'm not going to keep quiet about how it is intertwined with my philosophy in the world politically. And so a lot of what I come from has always been in my heart, but to be able to translate it astrologically comes from my places. And part of it has to do when I met a whole world of people at a conference way back when. I speak for myself here. I don't speak for anybody at the conference or whatever, everybody else. But I will say, the scholarships that this conference has done, these general scholarships, diversity scholarships, that changed years ago with Laura Nalbandian and Sam Reynolds. Because something needed to change of how, you're not waiting for people to show up from diverse communities. You have to go reach out to them. Have to create the opportunity, create the bridge. And it's never perfect. This kind of stuff is always ongoing, but you must attempt. You must go. Like and it changed everything in the astrological world. I think for conferences or people to understand what was coming from younger generations of diverse parts of our world. There's certain realities. Again, I'm not speaking for the conference. That's their conference. But for me, I'm proud of the fact that there is something like this. And we've had people come through the diversity scholarships that are speaking at this conference or have done incredible things with the tools from what they did and how it spread to other conferences, their own businesses, and what they do in their own practice. This kind of understanding, it's been in other parts of society too, and it works, it fails, but when you have people who you're like, no, we're going to squash that way of things, like, fuck off, So, part of the reason why I love this conference, on the Saturday nights there in person, they have this dinner, and it's when we kind of help raise money in the pool to help pay for like the next year's diversity scholarships and the general scholarships. That happens there. Whatever. I'm just on the side rant. This place, this conference, means so much to me, and I would not be here if it weren't for that. All right. And I've met so many people. I met people online last year with this kind of stuff. It's just wild what happens on the online portion. You never know who's in the chat room. And I talked to somebody the other day. They met somebody in chat, 2 people last year in chat, and they end up becoming colleague astrologer friends who are studying together. And that happened online, So I'm very proud of it. Again, there's so much more to the conference. There's the amazing bookstore that Patrick's going to be at with Greg and all this other stuff. If you're thinking about it, go to the website, go check it out, buy something by the day, whatever. This week, you're going to see some videos going out, help promote this kind of stuff. I hope you have fun with it. I'll remind you about that too, okay? So, so saying that, Emily Ann's going to be there. It's going to be, going to see some people. I can't wait to surprise some people online with some of this stuff. GME, thanks for the super chat. I treat your taste buds. I will. I will. I know what I'm going to do. I know exactly what I'm going to do. I've been going to the market and getting these special corn tortillas that this the kind of corn maize that comes from Mexico, and they make it. It's a little bit more pricier, but my body loves that corn. I can't do like the processed stuff. Anyway, that's what it's going to right there. Appreciate it. Lisa Mann says, I can't wait to see him. Sam Reynolds, I can't wait to see him either. It's going to be seeing his lecture lineup is good. It's a great lecture lineup this year from diverse areas of astrology, different ways of thinking, from Hellenistic to evolutionary astrology to modern to medieval techniques, all that kind of stuff. It's there. I know, Karen, the Nina Griffin workshop, I know what you're talking about. Sarah Metlin's in the chat. Yes. Good to see you. I'm gonna finish up. Yasmina, thank you for the 777 donation right there. Thank you, Yasmina, for your donation. Good work by on the channel. You're doing a lot of work on your YouTube channel. I notice it. When I get a chance, I watch. James Sanders is becoming a member for the 10 months now with the message, "This promise fights fascism." That's it, James. That's it. Not giving up on this shit. Not giving up. Got to go through the hard stuff to get to the new world, the something. And that's the battle we're in. That's the battle the United States chart is in. It's not going to get easy. It might get tougher, but we got to learn to move with it and find the togetherness and all this, or we're fucked. We're not going to be fucked. We're win. All right. I'm going to sum up my stream. Yeah, I'm going to sum up my stream here and get out of here. Thanks for being with me. I'll show you something to answer a question before I pull a card. For instance, you will see here, there's a question in chat of how to join the channel. There's a way to do this. There's a join button that happens here. The donation button happens on the chat part of it. You could see it on mobile. I forget what it looks like. That's how you join. I'll be honest. It's a 70-30 cut. YouTube takes 30% of it, and I get 70. On Patreon, if you were to join my Patreon, I'm getting more on the Patreon, honestly. I mean, I do both because I'm in his channel and I take advantage of the channel memberships, but there's other good things there, but that's how you do it. You can go to my copy, by the way. I think I'm going to try to start write horoscopes for my Patreon and my channel members only here the second half of the year. Once, sometimes twice a month for my channel members who pay in and my Patreon. I do an open Zoom call that everybody comes and hangs out in. I'm probably going to do that very soon. That's a thing. You can go to the YouTube copy here and you can see all the links that I have. You could see my Patreon page link. Let's see if it dropped this, or you can become a channel member, etc., etc. Okay. By the way, if I can't read all the comments, I do later after the streams. Bella Mora's in here. I just want to say hello to you and say thanks for being here, okay? Saying that, what was I doing? Let's say goodbye. Today we're going to pull out of this deck. It's the Goddess of Love Tarot. I love this deck. I got a bunch of decks, but this one, just the color scheme of it that gets me. And since it's kind of a Venus thing going on right now, Venus week, it's just kind of going into even some of the font or the color choices on this channel. It's pink. We're going to go there, okay? So let me do a quick shuffle before and say goodbye. Completely impromptu stream today. I wasn't going to do anything because I'm way too overwhelmed, but I think I could do a forecast because I won't have a chance to do it, and I need to do a stream. I just felt it strongly. New moon in Taurus, in my first house. I'm Venus ruled. I've done so much work in the last 4 months, and I got to do it all the way straight to NORWAC. I was thinking about water and earth, and I was just thinking about, I gotta follow my intuition. I just have to follow my spontaneity. And it's enough now where some of you know what to do. And it's just picking the sweet time to do it. So anyway, that's what's up. That's what's going on. That's what's happening here. And I didn't know I was going to talk about these things today, but again, these are the times, and it's not just me here. It's not just me here. You know what I mean? She's here. Just kind of always blends in the background. Like, oh, they got the owl, right? Then you just can't use it. But it's always there. Always, in one sense, protecting me. In the other sense, when Athena sends her the owl, you know, that I bow down to that, and I surrender to that. I'm open to that, and I take my chances. And as I mentioned in the beginning of the stream when we did the sensory thing that we did, I'd let whatever come through. And when it gets to my ego, it will crush me. But most of the time when I surrender, but I'm aware and present, wisdom is always around. And it's not for me to brag about. It's to accept what comes through wisdom-wise. And that's what the owl's all about and why I have it there, right? And so anyway. I'm seeing your chat. You guys are making me laugh right now. See, you know, we got a little aggressive moon right there. We got a little something. We got a little gate there, you know, when we do Venus moon conjunctions every month. By the way, you know, we're going through the gates. We're going to do it now for 7 months here with Venus in the sky. That's a whole nother something else to talk about. Go follow Sumerian myth and the story of Inanna. Okay, so speaking of meat hooks that I mentioned earlier, let's pull here. I usually have that new camera. Sorry. I usually have that new camera set up. Not tonight. I don't do reverse, by the way. What is this? Oh, it's interesting how they call this card. So, see 11 up at the top, right? Balance. We got some skulls. And we got some pomegranates right there. And looky here in the sky. We got like a dove, but we got my other pals. Right? I know you in chat pull cards. I know some of you are tarot card people, so chime in on whatever you want in here on your translation before I read what's in the book, okay? So there it is, balance. This person calls it balance. Which would be, here, I'll get to this. Let me set myself up here to do the read. I think is the Justice card, traditionally, when we do it that in. That's what the balance card is. Now that makes sense, right? The Justice card, we're dealing with truth and law and order. And I'm not the tarot person, I'm learning, but I know some of you are in here. So you can do that. Give me a second. So. I missed my other camera setup. To walk the path of the goddess means surrendering to the heart without losing the integrity of the mind, and the balance of two opposing forces is one of the pillars of the Western mysteries. Persephone, Greek goddess of the underworld and spring, embodies the energy in her role as consort to Hades, the god of the underworld. Love is the raison d'etre in Persephone's mythos, and she descends into the underworld as an omen of compassion to those recently departed. Persephone is the shadow in the sea to Demeter, the light in the blossoming of the fruit, the earth mother. As Persephone dwells half the year in the underworld and half on earth as queen of spring, she embodies balance and all the qualities that make sex and love sacred. Balance card honors your integral guidance when it comes to matters of the heart. Accept the circumstances that led you to this moment while finding peace with where you are. Don't give up, but consider what's in balance before making the next decision. It's not a question of rejecting one experience or end of the spectrum, but integrating both. Embrace duality as non-duality and allow that totality to lead you through the temple of the heart. The affirmation that this person who made this deck has here: I am a goddess of divine duality. I embrace the balance of all truths within me. There is a journal question for each card that happens in this deck, along with a ritual that they, encourage. This one says draw, doodle, collage, or free write around a conflict in love and or sex. Do this first for your head and mental body, and then for your heart and emotional body. It goes on and on. As Persephone finds a way to live between the earth and the underworld, embrace your dualities without ridding yourself of your depths. After your creative transmutation, meditate on the image of the scale with each point of this conflict on one end and ask the goddess for guidance on how to balance it. Very interesting here, as always on the stream when we pull cards, because we have Venus, who just went through the depths, is coming out here the last degrees this week with Saturn and entering Aries. And so we have, in my sense, the big storyline of the last 4 months of understanding the bigger picture and what our intuition does and what we learn in Pisces and what we do with our will and our instinct and impulse, and impose our will on the world, or to set forth of the will in the world. And Venus now is morning coming up, and here we are. Thank you, whatever that came through on this stream and made me pull this card, as we all we're watching here. Okay, so saying that, I want to thank everybody for being on the stream. I want to thank everybody for the super chats. I appreciate all of you. I'll see you down the road here. As always, I'll put videos out, whatever. My plan is, when I'm at the conference, I'm going to do a lot of content if I can there for the channel down the line. Some of it for Patreon and channel members only, all that kind of stuff. Regardless, we're going out on the stream with Persephone. She's hot. I mean, she's always hot. Lucky, I mean, it's a hard story, but the power. It's interesting, too, if you think about this from a cultural point of view from the Western end, which is not fucking perfect. It's so weird because we're dealing with patriarchal aspects all the time and how they infuse and whatever. But at the same time, we're just in a morphing place with myth. It's just constantly morphing, right? And I think it's interesting from the book publishing realm and story realm and even musical realm, how the underworld story has come up in video games, in Hadestown musical, to all these other things that have to do with this process. And it's culturally relevant in there, whether someone knows it or not, right? And it's around right now. So, I always like to look at this because, for those of us who always aware or trying to be aware of this in our lives, like, for instance, we just did Balsamic Moon the last 36 hours, and some, people are Hecate worshipers, and we know what that is, right? And there's these things, but when you see it come out in culture and they don't even know that they're doing it, but then you see the symbolism, that's when you're like, oh my God, this is like, it's not separate, it's real. People are their own version of conscious, and then they play it out through romance novels of a modern version and a more empowered version of what Persephone's doing in the myth, or what it is, right? You see all these things and these stories and these new ways of looking at it, but you can't get away from the core of what the myths are, right? And so I always think it's interesting when someone takes it in and they transmute it in their own way, what the story is for them, or what they identify in the story, or what they find the understanding and the knowledge that comes through, and then it's the empowerment that can come through something like that. Hence, on the card I pulled, the deck, or whatever else we see out there, right? So saying that, that's how we're going to end the stream. With some power, right? Got the Venus thing, mentioned that story, but a Pluto thing too, right? You know me on this channel. I am Pluto all the way. Go look at my Instagram. You'll see the post I did early in the week called I Love Pluto and my proclamation on my Instagram, okay? On that note, have a good week, everybody, okay? Stay chill the next 24 hours. Embrace the water-earth part of the new moon in Taurus. And then let the fire fly this week, later in the week, right? Let it fly. All right. Thanks, everybody. I'll look at the chat later. I already have one, Orphic. I already have one. Good to see everybody in chat, okay? Time for me to go. I'll see you later, man.